Hey, what's up guys? My name's Pete.
And I'm Michelle.
And together we own a small business, Fuentes Photo and Video. We specialize in couple shoots, engagement shoots, weddings, and elopements.
And we are a husband and wife team, and we're based in Miami, Florida.
And today's video, guys, is going to be about the Sony A7 Mark II. We're basically just going to go over whether it's still worth it to buy in 2020. And I'm going to give you my thoughts on it for the past year we've had it, I believe.
Before we get started with this video, please make sure to like and subscribe. We put out new videos every single Wednesday, and they're all about our photography and videography business, mostly based towards newer photographers and videographers. Now let's get to the video.
One of the main pros about the camera, guys, is the price. It's not very expensive. When we bought it, it was, I believe it was like $9.99 with the kit lens. So for a full frame camera, you are getting a pretty good bang for your buck. Also, another thing we really liked about it was the ISO capability. Sonys are known for doing really well in low light. And also, just the overall image quality is still pretty good on this camera. The files on Sonys tend to be pretty big, so when you pull it up in Lightroom, it's actually very forgiving, so you don't have to worry so much about your exposure. I mean, obviously you want to shoot the best you can in camera, but if you're a little too underexposed, I think it's really easy to bring back a picture. Michelle's done that plenty of times.
Yeah, definitely.
So
it is really easy, much easier to do on this camera than other cameras we've had in the past.
Right. So I will say, guys, that it is pretty good for a photographer that wants to get into full frame. It's a very good beginner's full frame camera. If you are somebody who is a seasoned pro, you probably wouldn't get this camera due to some cons that it has. Particularly, the biggest problem we've had with it, our biggest gripe with it, has been that it does have this issue once in a while where it doesn't want to read the memory card properly. After we've taken like a good amount of shots, it kind of gets stuck and you can't turn the camera off. And the only way to turn off the camera is by actually physically pulling the battery out, which is also dangerous because you can lose all your data. But luckily, we are a team and we do have multiple cameras and multiple cards running at once. And that goes to my other problem with this camera, is that it only has one memory card slot, which is kind of a big taboo in the wedding industry. So luckily we just switched over to a Sony A7 III, and that does have 2 slots. And the fact that it does do that, guys, that it does freeze up like that, is a little scary. It has frozen on us during a wedding, and it's pretty scary. It happened right before a kiss. Luckily, Michelle's camera was working out before a kiss. Sorry, guys, before the first kiss.
Yeah, at a wedding.
At a wedding, so that's like a really important shot that you always want to get. And it did stall out on me. It did just completely freeze. And Michelle luckily had her camera, and I told her, go over there, hurry, like get the shots, because my camera is having issues. I basically just showed her. Yeah, no, but I basically just showed you my camera. I was like, look, and then you were like, oh no. So at least we got the shot that time. But it has happened a couple of times where we've been on weddings and it has froze. So it's pretty scary. Definitely gets your anxiety going when that happens.
But then you don't know if you're gonna lose all of those pictures,
right?
Which
That's
is even scarier, I think.
Yes. So, the only reason we've ever risked it is because we've had a couple cameras running at once, and there's always a backup. So, if you're a solo photographer, I would definitely make sure you get a camera with the dual card slots. My other issue with it, guys, is that the battery life isn't that great. If I'm comparing it to the Sony A7 III, it's like a night and day. It's like a huge difference. I was able to shoot a wedding recently with one battery on my A7 III, and Michelle was using the A7 II, and she had to swap out batteries how many times?
I think 3 times.
About 3 times, yeah. It wasn't a really long wedding, so normally we would use about 6 batteries, right? 6 or 7 batteries.
And we weren't both shooting continuously like we usually do. This was a little different because of the coronavirus, but usually we change the battery out a lot more.
Yeah, normally, yeah. I would say that for us, with the A7 II, it was safe to have a good, 9 to 10 batteries at least for a wedding day. And if it was going to be like a 10-hour day, I would even get more, but we haven't really had to do any 10-hour days, like 10 hours straight. My other issue with it, guys, is that it's not very good for wedding photographers like us, because we're hybrid shooters. So we also do video, and the issue I had with the A7II is the autofocus isn't good for video. So I normally would run a Panasonic GX85, or I'd rent like a Panasonic GH5 or something. So we would run that for video instead. With the A7III, I don't have that problem. I can shoot video as well and not worry about my autofocus or even my resolution. Like that's another problem that I have with the A7II, is that I couldn't shoot in 4K. So if I wanted to downscale my footage to 1080p, I can't really do that on the A7II because of the lack of 4K. Yeah, I wouldn't recommend it if you are a videographer. Like if you're a photographer / videographer, you're a hybrid shooter, I would kind of stay away from that camera unless you have a backup camera. Other than that, guys, I do think that the A7II is a fantastic starter camera, like a full frame starter camera. So I'm not gonna knock the camera completely, guys, because it did do its job. And here I'm gonna show you some samples of some of the beautiful images we've taken with the camera. So yeah, guys, if you're gonna start off with a full frame camera, I do think it's a fantastic choice. You could still get some really nice work done on it, especially for engagement shoots and like family sessions. We've done a couple of those, and really for a lot of different things. We've done products as well. I've done food photography with it. So I'm not gonna like really tell you that it's a terrible camera or anything like that. I don't think it is. I just think that if you're gonna use it for wedding photography, it might not be the best option really. And it is worth it to pay the extra $700 or $800 for the A7III if you're gonna be running Sony. So in conclusion, guys, I do think that the A7II is still a good camera. I think you could still use it for a lot of projects in 2020. I think the sensor is still fantastic. It does have great image quality. It still does pretty well in low light as well. So if you were to ask me if this is worth it in 2020, I would say sure. Now, if you were to ask me, do I recommend this to a full-time wedding photographer? No, I don't. But if you're gonna be doing engagement shoots and you're gonna be doing anything that's not so hard on the camera, not a rough day on the camera where you're taking thousands of pictures, then yeah, I recommend it absolutely. Worst comes to worst, you could always have a backup camera anyways if something does go wrong, which you should always have a backup camera on you anyways. So it's not like you can't use it. I just wouldn't recommend it. I just wouldn't want to take the risk. So babe, what are your thoughts on it since you've used it a few times?
Yeah, I really like it too. It's a really good camera. The only thing that stresses me out is when it does freeze every once in a while. That is very, very stressful. Yeah. And it's happened to me in weddings as well. But I tried the A7III this weekend at our wedding, and I'm in love. The pictures just look way better in camera. I just love it. So it's hard to go back to the A7II after trying the A7III.
Yeah, it is. It doesn't really matter what camera you go with at the end of the day. Just make sure that you're comfortable with it, and as an artist that you can make amazing images. That's really what matters at the end of the day. So it was fun shooting this video, guys. Please like and subscribe, and comment. Please comment.
Yeah, and we'll see you again next Wednesday with a new video.
See you later.
Oh, it's still very good.
3, 2, 1. Why'd you do that? Maybe laugh.